Hello and welcome to this long overdue video. I feel like I'm the last one to review this palette, but I wanted to create actually this time 5 looks with the new Danessa Myricks Lightwork 6 Freedom palette. Why is it called Freedom? Because this is the first time with a Lightwork palette you can mix and match as you will. So basically you have this palette, then you open the lid and it has 18 shades, but these 18 shades are put together in these small mini palettes, so you can take out each one of them. Then you have 6. The shades, the single shades themselves, you can also take out and of course mix and match. And on the lid where you have the palette name, you can basically, but that's very hard, you can remove that, put it on top of the 6 pans, and then you also have a portable mirror with you. So that's why this is called the Freedom palette. In this video, I created for you 5 looks. The one that I'm wearing right now is look number 5, and that's the one where I challenged myself actually to create a look only with this, because in the other 4 looks I just took some mattes from other palettes for the help of blending, because this palette does not have mattes. I do have a face swatch video that I will link down below so that you can see basically this palette swatched out also on my face. And I know I said that I feel like some of these are mattes, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4 more satin shades. And then this one in the face swatch video, this just goes and goes. This is a classic metallic and not so much a satin. So let's talk about the swatches of Lightwork 6 now. And I don't know about you, but these look very, very boring. Just compared with the Lightwork 5, so now you have them side by side here, and Lightwork 5 is just the definition of Lightwork. It has texture, which to me this is not that important, but this has impact and shifts and interesting shades and loud shades, and just it just has this special feeling that a Lightwork palette should have. And when you then compare it with the swatches of Lightwork 6, yeah, where is the excitement? Where the fuck is it? It is quite an expensive palette. I personally paid about €160, I think, because I was not patient and to wait until it comes to Beauty Bay, because I will link the Beauty Bay link down below. It's a bit less expensive there, but I ordered it directly from the Danessa Myricks website, which was a bit weird because it took forever to ship out, and then I wrote them an email, and believe it or not, the answer on this email came, I don't know, like 2 days ago. And they said, hey, congrats, your palette is sent out now. And I have this palette now for over a week. So their customer service is a bit so-so. But yeah, I don't want to spoiler you too much, but I just want to say that this is not a raving review. So let's head over now to the 5 looks. For the first look, I'm feeling very fall-esque, so I'll start with that shade. That is Unapologetic. It's a cream textured matte. And I apply this on the outer third of the lid and blend that a tad bit out. Okay, it's not matte, it's like satin. But to be honest, I was very surprised to find shades like this in the Lightwork 6, because that's not what I expect from a Lightwork palette, but that's a different story. So now take the Viseart Nutra Matte. This is, by the way, the 25-year anniversary palette that you can still get with my code Ella10, I think. And I go into the shade Brick, and I start to blend this in the center of the crease, bringing it inwards and also on top of Unapologetic. I also tap into Canal, and I use this to just smooth any edges. I now tap into the shade Nirvana, and I start to apply this here on the outer half. And I then go into the shade Higher, and I apply that on the rest of the lid. And where both meet, I just swipe higher on top of Nirvana. I line the waterline with the Charlotte Tilbury Copper Charge double-sided liner, but I used the matte side for that so that we have a bit of a darker contrast. And I do not only line the waterline, I also line the lash line directly. And then I go into the shade Chocolate from Viseart and I blend that also on the lash line. Then I go into Canal again and blend that underneath and on top to smooth everything. I now tap into the shade Proud from Danessa Myricks, and that one I apply as inner corner highlight. And here we have the first finished look. I went on full monochromatic today. I even matched the blush and the lips for that. I don't know, I just feel very fally, pumpkin-y, and I like that. It's a very, very pretty look. For the lips, I went with MAC Stripped Down Lip Liner, and then I filled it in with the Hourglass Phantom Glossy Balm in the shade Haze. It doesn't look much warm, but it is a warmish rosy tone, like a light brown that works nice with Stripped Down. So this is now look 1 out of 5, and now let's go to look number 2. For look number 2, I use the Hindash Monochromance palette and I go into the inked side and I apply inked here on the outer V, or outer third better said, and blend that in the crease a bit. And then I tap into the Forever side and I blend that in the crease towards the inner corner and on top of that to smooth everything. And on the bigger brush, I also go into Ego and I use that on the most outer part for more smoothness. I now gently go into Unbound and I use this on top of that shade on the outer part and also blend it in. Unbound is also one of those satin shades. I applied my glitter glue and now I go into the shade Euphoria. And I start to apply this on the center of the lid, and whatever is left on the brush, I just tap outwards and inwards, but I'm leaving the most inner part bare. Because now I go into the shade Free, and that one I start to apply on the inner part of the lid, and then I just roughly swipe it outwards. I basically top off that Euphoria shade with that. Since I, to my surprise, do not have a real dark blue liner, I take the Pat McGrath Permagel one and line my waterline with that. And then I go into Hindash Inked again and blend that out all along the lower lash line. I also go into Ego and blend that on top to smooth it. And then I take the shade Release. That looks like a beautiful glitchy shade. And if I remember that from the swatches correctly, it is a beautiful glitchy shade. And I apply this on the inner corner and a bit on the lower lash line. That's not as glitchy. I mean, it is, but it shifts more from what I see in the mirror, at least, a tad bit transparent to some turquoise and blue. And here we have the finished look. I went even with a white mascara on the lower lash line because I feel like, I don't know, it has super wintry ice vibes and I felt like doing it. On the lips I'm wearing Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude and I topped it off with the Lisa Eldridge lip balm in Sweet Fig. No, I did not give up on these. I still want to love these. And now let's head over to look number 3. Actually, it's a bit too sad that we only use this Beauty Bay Midnight palette just for the mattes because it is so pretty. But I want to focus more on the purple shades now from Danessa Myricks. So I thought this Midnight palette here from Beauty Bay has just the perfect companion mattes. I kind of want to do something soft, ethereal, but defined. I have no clue. I have something in my mind. I don't know if I can do that. So I start with the shade Lilac here. And I use this on a very long and fluffy brush. And I very, very roughly and unprecise apply this in the transition area up to the brow. I now go right away into the Danessa Myricks one and I use this shade. This is Empowered, and if you remember my face swatch, this is the shade that I basically dragged from the chin down the neck. It's a very, very beautiful potent shade. It's not chromy, I'd say. It is definitely more a stronger satin. Maybe that's a really wrong description, I don't know. But I used this shade on an angled brush and I apply this like I would a liner, but I also drag this kind of in the crease. I want to create a shape with that. And I also fill out that shape. I have no clue how good or bad this is going to be. So on a clean pencil brush, I now just blend that out a bit. And then I'll go into the shade Catch from Beauty Bay. And I start to apply this in the crease towards the inner corner and on top of that empowered shade here on the outsides. I go back into empowered and I directly apply this now. And now I use the same brush I used Catch with and blend that out a bit. Not gonna lie, I'm very disappointed in the application of this shade because it's swatched insanely good, but I'm really struggling with that shade to keep it to keep it stuck on my eye. It's constantly falling down, and I have not applied a glitter glue because I treated this as a satin and not as a glitter. So I applied now glitter glue on the rest of the lid. And now I go into the shade Bliss. This is also not a chromy shade. It's a satin, satin metallic velvet shade. But that I apply now on the rest of the lid. It pills on top of the glitter glue. What the fuck? So I took the brush again from the Catch shade and I just tried to save the look. Honestly, I have no freaking clue how I should save this. Oh my god. I take now a big fluffy brush. Or not fluffy, I take a big packing brush and I go into the shade Dance. It seems to be a translucent shimmer shade with a pinky touch. So I take that and now I just tap this on top of everything. This look is not ethereal, it's not graphic, it's just a disaster. So the saved eye, the disastrous eye, honestly with that dance shade on top, that saves the look. At least try to bring back some darkness here and apply the empowered shade in a tapping motion to mix it in. Go with the dark purple vibe. I now use the Urban Decay 24/7 liner in the shade Vice and apply this on the waterline. I now go into the shade Voodoo here from Beauty Bay and I blend this on the lower waterline, blush line. And then I tap here into that lilac shade and just smooth this between the skin and that other shade. For inner corner highlight, I go into that shade. This is called Serenity, and I'm pretty sure that this shifted pink. So it is probably a nice contrast now. Yes, it shifts purpley pink. So it's not like a real contrast. It matches the look, but since this is so much lighter than the rest, it's benefiting the look. Or the look benefits from it. You know what I mean. And here we have now the finished look. For the lips, I used the Hindash Cosmetics Hush Lip Tone. And I topped that off with the new Blankety shade from the new MAC Maximal Sleek Satin Lipsticks. I used it today for the very first time. I never had Blankety, and I don't know how different it is to the OG one, but I like that. This look was a pure disaster. So let me just take a mid review. I am not wowed. The swatches were so much better with everything so far than the actual performance was. And that is a bit concerning, I think. I mean, that Lightwork 6 palette is very much different to the Lightwork 5, let alone in texture, because Lightwork 5 had so many different textures. Lightwork 4 had these pressed chrome flakes in there that I did not like, but nowadays I want to have Lightwork 4 back, kind of. And Lightwork 6 is very much gone, like they stay away from these thick, flakier textures, and they are in more subtle textures. So maybe my expectation, maybe I should adjust that. So for the last two looks in this video, I tried to do them with a different mindset towards the formulation and what to expect, and hopefully then my final review will be a bit better than what I feel right now. I mean, the first two looks were good, don't get me wrong, I really like them, but this look was a pure disaster, and I am actually amazed how I was able to save this. What did I learn from this? These more satin shades that you have in each of these 6 pan compartments, don't use them with glitter glue. They will pill, they will literally fall off your lid, and I'm happy that I was able to save it. So now let's head over to look number 4. For look number 4, I'm pulling in the Blend Bunny Dollhouse palette because I haven't actually used this all year. I'm starting with the shade Display, by this through the transition area. I did build that shade up by 3 layers, and then I go into the shade Rouge, and that one I run through the crease and the outer third. And now I go into Plume, I think it's Plume, and that one I very, very close to the lash line apply like a liner. I basically just rub this in the like cat shape winged liner, and whatever is left I then flake up in the outer crease. Glitter glue is applied, and I now go into the shade Rejoice, and I tap this on the outer half of the lid, and then I go into Joy next to it, and I fill in the rest of the lid with it, and you know me, where both meet, I just tap on that line to create a gradient. So let me try something, because I think that look is just a tad bit too soft. So I take a smaller brush and I go, well, that could be too light. You know what? I go into Empowered again. And I just very, very lightly apply this on the brush. And then I just rebuild a bit of darkness here with that shade. Am I crazy, or is this a significant difference actually? I mean, I have a ton of fallout from Empowered because it's not the best all over lid application shade, but it's like this subtle way to darken a look. It is like Empowered is a translucent dark shade, which absolutely makes no sense. For the waterline, I'm using the ColourPop Cream Liner, or the Cream BFF, no, the BFF Cream, I always fuck up that name, in the shade Calabasas. It's a very, very frosty pink. And to be honest, I think this is my favorite out of them all. From the Blend Bunny palette, I now take the shade Vintage and use this to smudge it on the lower lash line. And then I also tapped into Display again and just smooth it a bit. And now I'll go back into Empowered with a very, very light hand and very roughly smudge this on the outer third. And now I go into the shade Dance and I use this as inner corner highlight. And this is now the finished 4th look. I rarely say this, and for the lips I decided to just go with a gloss. This is the Haus Labs PhD hybrid lip glaze in the shade Macaron, if I said that correct. It's a good look. It is a really good look, but I want to just point out one critical point that I just am afraid that I will forget this after look 5 because I didn't take any notes. I'm so organized. That shade here on the inner third of the lid, let me just quickly look what it was. It was this one here, the shade Joy, that one here. This is one of those shimmers that when you apply this and you just apply 0.0000001 gram too much of product, it starts to crackle up like crackling nail polish, and that is exactly what is happening here. It cracks up. I had to just smooth it out now 2 times since I finished the upper lid, and that's very disappointing. But now let's head over to look number 5 and then to the final review. It's time for the last look, and I try to challenge myself, and I want to only use this palette for the last one. I'm starting with the shade Love here. This is one of those satin velvet shades. And I start to apply this in the center of the crease, and then I bring it towards the inner corner and flick it outwards. And then I go into Unbound, and that one I start to apply on the outer crease and outer V. And then I take a clean brush and I blend that out. I then go into Empowered, and that one I smudge on the most outer parts, like the outer V area for my depth. I applied my Gorilla Glue, and now I go into the shade of Fluid. Of course, I try to use shades that I haven't used yet. And that one I tap in the center of the lid. And I tap it left and right, but I'm leaving the most outer and inner parts bare. And now go into Euphoria. And that one I apply on the outer part. And then I take Dance and tap this on the rest of the lid. Since I feel like the top lid is very peacocky, I want to counteract that a bit. So I take the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the ash shade. It's a dark gray, not really black, but close to being a black, like a graphite shade. And I apply this very sloppy on the waterline and on the blush base, basically. And then I take the smudger on the other end and smudge that out. I then tap back into Empowered and smudge that on top. Empowered has a lot of fallout, which is really annoying. But honestly, this shade has been so far the saver of, I think, 2 looks. Although I didn't like it in the beginning. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think this look benefits from a small liner. Really small, no big wing. I'm taking the Hindash Hero line and I try to create a tiny top liner. For inner corner highlight, I go into the shade Release and surprisingly apply this on the inner corner. And here we have the finished look. On the lips I'm wearing the MAC lip liner in Mahogany, and I topped it off with the Fenty Heat in Fenty Glow. Oh, what can I tell you? Honestly, the amount of underwhelmed feelings that are in my body right now is not to be put in a number. I am absolutely disappointed in this. Okay, I have to admit, I haven't seen any reviews. I don't know if people are raving about this. I want to point out that I love the concept of this. I really do. I love the fact that you can just, you can take basically each of these 6 pans out. You can rearrange them. You can remove this here, which is a bit harder actually, but you can basically remove that part, put it on top of a 6 pan, and you have a mini pan with an included mirror in here. You can put it in this extra leather sleeve that comes with. I like that concept. I love the, as the palette says, the freedom of the palette. But the problem is the quality is not good. This is not the Lightwork experience that I myself expect from a palette from Danessa Myricks called the Lightwork. It has some very nice and strong colors, not gonna lie, but honestly, the only Lightwork shades that make me feel Lightworky are in this top row. The other ones, this, and this, these 4 are satin shades. This is the most weirdest shade ever because it is creamy and crumbly at the same time. It's like dried out cream, and when you apply this, you have tons of fallout. This one, okay, this is also very shifty. Then we have a problem with this shade and this shade here. So Higher and Rejoice, they have so much binding component into them that they crack on the lid like the typical indie shadows that are very squishy. Just saying Odin's Eye here. And these two shades here, and I assume this one too because it feels swatch-wise as these two, they're just mediocre shades. So, long story short, 5 looks later, I am not very excited about this palette. I will keep it in my collection, of course, because I feel like there are some nice variations in here, but this is not a Lightwork palette for me. This is not the Lightwork experience that I just expect from Danessa Myricks. So did you grab this palette? How do you feel about it? Am I maybe doing something wrong? Is it my expectation? Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't know. Let me please know down below. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any cool videos, and LMS is just right around the corner, including a palette ranking where this, well, honestly, this is probably towards the bottom this year. So yeah, make sure that you are subscribed, and I hope I can see you in the next one.